Hello class, for today's lesson is about understanding absolute value on the number line. And here are the learning targets. First, I can identify the absolute value of a given integer, and I can explain the meaning of absolute value as the distance of a number from 0 on the number line. To define, absolute value is the distance of a number from 0 on the number line regardless of direction. It is always non-negative, so which means it is positive as a result, and the symbol for absolute value is two vertical bars. Now, let's have this for example. We have the absolute value of 2 and absolute value of -2. Now, the absolute value of 2 is 2, because again, in an absolute value of a number, it should be non-negative or positive. So that means our absolute value of -2 here will be +2. Now, if you are going to illustrate it having the number line, so let's draw a number line here. Now we have here 0. We have -1, -2. We also have 1 and 2. Let's add 3 for the space. Now, why is it that the absolute value of 2 is 2 and at the same time the absolute value of -2 is 2? Again, we need to go back on the thing here that it is based on the distance from 0. So just like this, if we have here our -2 and 2, so again, distance from 0. So if you have here 1 unit, 1, and oops, if you have here 1 and 2, so that means we jumped 2 units from 0. Similar thing on the other side, we have here 1 and 2. So also 2 units. So that means if you also write here, if you have the absolute value of 5 and also the absolute value of -5, we get both same answers having both positive numbers or +5. So if we are to illustrate it again using the number line, so let's have it this way. Okay, let's have our 0 here, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we have our -5 and 5. So from 0 we have how many jumps from 0 we have here? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 units. That's why we have it here, 5. Same goes with the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I hope that's clear using our illustration. Now, before we go over to solving more about absolute value involving JAMDAS, let's have first concepts in real life when it comes to absolute value. Now, let's start with elevation. So when it comes to elevation, I'll just say a submarine is, let me just write it down for you. Okay. A submarine is 200 meters below sea level. Now, based on this concept, we could, involving absolute value, we could have it like this. Absolute value of -200, because again, we have here below sea level, so and go below, right, it is negative. Now, since the absolute value of negative 200 is 200, so based on the concept, we can say that it is 200 meters from sea level, regardless if we are talking about above or below sea level. Because the thing here about absolute value is the distance from the origin. And our origin here, based on the situation, is the sea level. So that's it for our first concept. Next example would be in relation to banking. Now, we have a situation here. Owing 500 pesos means your balance is negative 500. Now, if we incorporate absolute value on this, so we get to have the absolute value of negative 500, which is positive. That means the amount owed is 500 pesos. So the amount owed is 500 pesos. Because we don't necessarily say to someone that, or even to yourself, that I owe a negative a certain amount or value of money. We could just say I owe an amount of this and that. So that's it for banking. Now this time, let's have some JAMDAS problems involving integers with absolute values. So for the first one, we have here 8 plus the absolute value of negative 12 divided by 4 times 2. So with this, we could operate the absolute value, because just like in absolute value, it is in a group by itself. So with this one, we could have 8 plus, again, the absolute value of negative 12. Whether it's positive or negative, it should be positive. So we have here 12 divided by 4 times 2. And since in JAMDAS, for the MD, both have the same power, and regardless if they have the same power, the order should be from left to right. So we have here, instead of multiplication, we'll have the division. So we have 12 divided by 4 is 3. And we have here 8 plus 3 times 2. And 3 times 2 is 6. And last part, we have 8 plus 6, which is 14. Next, let's have this one. The quantity of 5 minus the absolute value of 3 times 4 plus 6. So of course, we need to go with the groupings. But before we operate 5, we need to settle first with negative 3. So the absolute value of negative 3 is positive. So we have here 5 minus 3. And then times 4 plus 6, and 5 minus 3 as a grouping is 2. So we have 2 times 4 plus 6, and 2 times 4 is 8. And same thing, 8 plus 6 is 14. For next example, we have here 18 divided by the quantity of the absolute value of negative 6 minus the absolute value of 3, then plus negative 7. Again, first we need to have the groupings. So we have here the absolute value of negative 6 is 6, and the absolute value of 3 is 3. So we have here 18 divided by then plus negative 7. Now, 6 minus 3 here is 3. So I get to write the other numbers. And 18 divided by 3 is 6 plus negative 7. So based on this, the bigger number is negative. So that means our expected answer should be negative as well. And again, I'm applying the big minus small when it comes to the base numbers. So we have 7 minus 6 is 1. So our answer here is negative 1. For our next example, we have here the absolute value of negative 10 plus 6 squared times 2 plus 1. So based on this, we need to have the grouping. So 2 plus 1 is 3. And 6 squared is... Oh no, let's try this first. And the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. And plus, we can do this right away. So 6 squared is 36. Let me just read it. Then times 3. And again, jump this. So the multiplication goes first before the addition. So 36 times 3 is 108. And of course, the last part is 10 plus 108 is 118. Now let's have our last example. So we have here the absolute value of the quantity of 15 minus the absolute value of negative 9 divided by 2 plus 11. Okay, and let's just add another thing here. So this will be squared. Now first let's operate this one, because it's the inside of the inside, just like what I told you before. So we have here, so we have this, the absolute value of negative 9 is 9. So we have here 15 minus 9 divided by 2 plus 11 squared. Now, base here we have 15 minus 9 is 6 divided by 2 plus 11. Okay, where am I? Oh, no, it's this one here. This one here is not an absolute value. So just like that. So you have here 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we get to write 3 and then plus 11 and then squared. Now 3 plus 11 is 14. So, and the absolute value of 14 is still 14. And 14 squared is 196. And here's our answer. And that's it for today's lesson, and I hope you learned something.